everyone. I hope you guys are doing okay. And today, what we are going to discuss is parts of speech. Now, I think we all share a love-hate relationship with grammar, and generally, grammar is very tedious for all of us. But just the way alphabets form the foundation of our knowledge regarding a particular language, similarly, every word does make a sentence, right? And every word plays a very crucial role in order to understand whatever somebody is trying to convey. So it's very important we know our basics. And that's the reason today's class is going to be about parts of speech. Okay, let's start with how many parts of speech are there. How many of you already know about it? Think we have all studied it at some point in our schools, so probably most of you might be aware that there are 8 parts of speech. Let's just name them quickly so that things are easier for us to remember. The first one is the very famous noun. Second one, verb. Third, pronoun. Fourth, adjective. Fifth, adverb. Sixth, can you guys guess? Preposition. And seventh is conjunction. The last one is the easiest one of them all, and that is interjection. Okay? Now, at least we know what we are diving into. So, let's start with the very first one. I know everybody is well aware of what a noun is, and we've all played that game name, place, animal thing, right? सभी को पता है वो वाला game? जिसमें हम लोगों को basically we used to pick an alphabet and we used to name things on beginning with that alphabet, and that was basically our first hand experience with nouns. So let's start with understanding what exactly nouns are all about. The easiest one again, name of a person, place, animal, thing. What else? Is it just these 4 categories? Or does noun entail more things? Of course it does. Everything in this universe has a name, right? So, name given to an idea or a feeling is also a part of noun. Now, if I talk about the types of noun, can you guys name a few? I think probably everybody is aware of common noun, then proper noun, collective noun. Are there more? Of course there are. Then abstract, concrete, material, and the last one is compound. These are the types of nouns, and let me tell you, all of them are basically super easy to understand. If I talk about common noun, as the name suggests, it's when we are talking about something common, something that's unspecific, something that's uncertain. For example, when I say a building, now it could be any building. I'm not specifying the name of that building, right? So what exactly does it tell you? That it could be any building, right? Another one is if I say lady. Now, have I specifically mentioned any lady's name? No, it could be any lady from a sea of ladies, right? But when I talk about proper noun, नाम से ही पता चलता है कि it has to be proper, it has to be specific. We need to be certain who we are talking about or what we are talking about. So when I say building, what if I give it the name Burj Khalifa? Now, am I talking about a specific building? Definitely yes, right? What about lady? What if I say it's Mrs. Rai? Now, again, the lady has become somebody specific. That is basically what proper nouns does. Okay, proper nouns do. If I talk about collective nouns, from the name itself, it's a collection of something. And I think as children, we have all learnt by heart a table of collective nouns. I don't know how many of you remember it even now, but it's always very useful when it comes to vocabulary. So you must have heard collective nouns such as a fleet of ships and a bunch of keys, a bouquet of flowers, a pride of lions, right? Now, here, this specific word basically stands for the group. Okay, so this is the name given to a group of something. Also, one more thing, whenever there's a collective noun mentioned, consider it as a single unit. Okay, and that's the reason it always carries a singular verb along with it. For example, a fleet of ships is sailing on the sea. Are you getting my point? Why did I use is? Because a fleet is considered as singular, right? Moving forward to the next one, abstract. I'm sure you must have heard this word many times, but I don't know how many of us actually take the pain to learn new words. So let's just talk about what is abstract. Abstract is something which is intangible. What is the meaning of intangible? Intangible is something that you cannot touch or hold in the palm of your hand. As simple as that. For example, can you touch anger? Can you hold it? No, right? It's a feeling. That's basically what abstract ideas are all about. So it is first of all intangible. You cannot touch it. And second, talks about feelings, ideas, emotions, etc. Okay, for example, shame. For example, grief. Now, all of these things can be felt, but cannot be touched, right? Now, the opposite of abstract is concrete. And I think from the name itself, it's pretty evident concrete is something which is solid, right? Now, concrete and common nouns are pretty similar because when I say this mobile phone is a common noun, it's also a concrete noun for the simple reason that I can hold it in my hand. I can touch it, I can feel it also, right? So, when I talk about common as well as concrete nouns, they are pretty much similar. बस एक चीज याद रखनी है कि concrete जो होता है वो solid objects होते हैं जिनको हम छू सकते हैं. So they are tangible. Example could be a desktop, a camera, etc. Then, material nouns are one of the simplest categories. So, if I talk about material, for example, right now I'm wearing a cotton top. So, the material of my top is cotton. When I say I'm writing with a plastic pen, so the material of the pen is obviously plastic. Okay, so material is basically something that tells you what exactly is a product made up of. For example, I'm wearing a gold chain. I'm not actually wearing it, but I'm telling you an example, right? So यहाँ पे हम examples में लिख सकते हैं a platinum ring. So what is the material of that ring? It's platinum. If I say an iron rod, what is the material of the rod? Obviously, iron. And the last one is compound. So, when we were kids, we all did this one exercise where we had to join two words to form a new word. right? This was one of the most fun activities because it was so easy, and it was also something that actually taught us a new word. So if I talk about sun plus flower, automatically this equals to a sunflower, right? Like tooth plus paste, toothpaste, play plus ground, playground. Those are our compound nouns. Any which way, compound basically means something that's a combination of two simple things, right? That makes a thing compound, more than one, right? So here we come to the end of nouns. If I talk about the next category, can you guys tell me what is the most important part of speech? Anyone here? The most important part of speech is verbs. And why it is verbs? Because if I say play or go, run, is it self-explanatory? Do I need a noun to complete that? Do I need any other fancy words to make you understand what I'm trying to tell you? The word in itself is a complete instruction. The word in itself makes complete sense. I do not even have to use a noun for it. Right? मैंने बोला come, so automatically I'm talking to you and you will come to me and talk to me, right? So basically verb एक ऐसी चीज है which individually also makes sense, and that's the reason it is considered as one of the most important part of speech. Also one more thing, because it is the foundation for tenses, voice, narration, so many other things, right? So nouns can be divided into two categories. First of all, I think you all must have heard the action words, right? The second category is state of being. When I talk about action words का मतलब होता है the actual action that's happening in a sentence. For example, when I say she plays football, so plays here is the actual action, right? So words such as play, cook, run, these are our actual action words. But then what is state of being? There are certain words which tell you the state of something. Okay? For example, when I say I am an English teacher, can you tell me what the verb here is? Do you see any action happening? I'm just stating a fact about myself, right? So here the word am is basically something that tells you state of being. State of being actually is represented by helping or auxiliary words. So these are auxiliary verbs. And auxiliary verbs का मतलब यही होता है कि is, am, are, was, were, has, have, had, will, shall. We've all studied it, right? And they are all forms of be. And that's the reason यहाँ पे state of being mentioned है. They are all forms of be. Okay? Now that is basically the basic understanding when it comes to verbs. But you must have also studied a table, like, right? V1, V2, V3, V4, and every verb form has a name also. So can anybody tell me what does V1 stand for? Base or root verb. V2, past. V3, past participle. V4 is present participle, also commonly known as ing form, the easiest one again. There's nothing that you need to remember when it comes to ing, I feel, right? We are all pretty skilled when it comes to present continuous tense, past continuous tense, future continuous tense, right? तो यहाँ पे वही बात हो रही है. Let's take for instance the verb cook. Okay. Now, what is the past tense of cook? What is the past participle? And the last one is ing. Now, here the thing is, you must have noticed that when I wanted to change this verb into past tense, I added something to it. What is that extra spunk that I have added here? Ed. Okay. Let's, for instance, take another verb. Now, what is the past tense of go? Can I say goed? Is it possible? A big fat no, right? Go, went, gone, going. Now here, when I wanted to change it into past, I did not really add ed to it, right? Now, when we simply add ed to make a root form of verb into past tense, such verbs are known as, do you guys know the answer? Such verbs are known as regular verbs, okay? And when I have changed the form, when I wanted to change it into past tense, as you can see here, such verbs are known as irregular verbs. Now, moving forward to the next category, it was that simple, okay? Let's take one more example. What is bake? Regular or irregular verb? What is catch? Regular or irregular verb? Now, this is one answer that I want from you guys, and you can also put it in the comment section. I'll check your answers, and I think everybody pretty much knows what I'm talking about here, right? Okay, moving forward to the next category of verbs, transitive and intransitive verbs. Now, one more thing, we have all studied about these as well, but it's just that grammar is something that we tend to forget because grammar is a part of language which requires constant practice. So after today's class, I would definitely suggest you guys to go look up some exercise based on verbs, based on nouns, and just, revise it so that you're better at it. Yeah, coming to transitive verbs, when I talk about transitive and intransitive, there's one thing that's the most important. Okay, so let's take two examples here. She smiled at the dog. She smiled sweetly. Now, in the first sentence, can you see who is she smiling at? Can you tell me? Is she smiling at the dog? Yes. But here she smiles sweetly. We do not really know what is she actually looking at, who is she smiling at. So can you see any object here? No object, right? She's just smiling sweetly. That's about it. So यहाँ पे we can see that there is an object present. Always remember, in transitive verbs, there will always be an object. For example, Ram killed Ravan. So we know Ram killed whom? ठीक है? Ravan. Ravan is the object. Now one more thing, objects are of two types. One is direct object. See, the literal definition of object is what basically? A non-living thing. So direct object जो होते हैं वो होते हैं non-living. Whereas indirect object, people like you and me, our parents, cousins, sister, brother, living beings, those are considered as indirect objects. ठीक है? Yeah. Moving forward, there is one more category, but that requires a separate class, so we won't be discussing that. You must have all heard of verbals, or also known as non-finite verbs, which include gerunds, infinitives, and participles. Now, this requires separate attention, so we'll be taking it up in our some other class, right? इसके अलावा if I talk about the next important category, the next one in line is pronouns. Let's see one sentence. Yes, can you see it? Lily is a lawyer. Lily likes gardening. Lily is mostly happy. Do you think the sentence is unrestrained and very smooth? Or do you think that I could have replaced a word or two there to make it less complicated, less awkward? Okay, in the first statement, which is the introductory statement, I will not make any changes. But here, I could have definitely made some changes, right? Because, taking the name Lily again and again makes the sentence a little strained. So I would say Lily is a girl, so she sounds better, right? She likes gardening, she's mostly happy. And that's basically what the job of a pronoun is. Pronoun is somewhere related to nouns, right? It basically is useful when we are trying to replace a noun in a sentence to make a sentence less complicated, more flowy, right? अगर मैं यहाँ पे बात करूँ she जो है वो which category of pronoun में बैठेगा? Personal pronouns. Pronouns such as I, we, you, he, she, and so on. They, ठीक है? ये सारे जो pronouns है, they are considered as personal pronouns. Moving forward, the second category of pronouns is possessive pronouns. Now, from the word itself, I think it's pretty evident that possessive pronouns are words which show possession, right? It shows belonging. For example, when I say, the phone is mine, right? Who does the phone belong to? You know that, right? So you must have heard words such as mine, hers, his, theirs. These are our possessive pronouns, something that shows possession or belonging. The next important category here in pronouns is our demonstrative pronouns. There are just four demonstrative pronouns. Something that is used to demonstrate something is basically a demonstrative pronoun. So here, if I talk about those four, I think everybody has heard them before. This, that, these, and those, right? These are our four demonstrative pronouns. The next category is again very simple, something I don't know how many of you have heard of it, but yeah, it is something which is not really taken up in classes generally. But again, nonetheless, it's very important. Important. Indefinite pronoun. Okay. So for example, I'm sitting in this room trying to teach you something, और किसी ने अभी door पे knock कर दिया. Now, do I know who this person is? Do I know whether this person is a man or a woman or a little child or a girl or a boy or a group of people? Am I aware? मुझे कैसे पता चलेगा? ठीक है? So, there will be a word for that, right? I'll say somebody knocked at the door. Now, I'm not sure who that somebody is. That's the reason it's named indefinite. Indefinite का मतलब है I am not definite. I am not certain or sure about it. And the word somebody tells me that. Words such as nobody, anybody, somebody, someone, anyone, ये सारे words जो हैं ये हमें basically बताते हैं कि we are not really certain who this person is. Even if I say both have not come to my party. Do you know both of these are women or men or boys or girls? Nahi na. So even that falls under the category of indefinite pronouns. Then I think you must have heard of reflexive pronouns. Reflexive pronouns are the objects of the verb or are the objects of the subjects. Sorry. So अगर मैं बात करूँ अगर subject मेरा I है तो I का जो object होगा वो basically होगा my. But if it is a reflexive pronoun, then it will change a little. It will become myself. क्योंकि हम इसमें self self लगाते हैं for singular and selves selves लगाते हैं for plural, right? Myself, themselves. Another one is relative pronoun. Okay, let me tell you one thing. Relative pronouns will behave like your relatives. Relatives is basically the middle point, right, between your parents and you. It's that connection. Similarly, a relative pronoun also establishes a connection between the subject and the rest of the sentence. Okay? For example, hmm, we clearly know that our subject here is the book. Okay, and information related to book is given in this part, right? Now what is the favicol or glue that is joining these two sentences and establishing a relationship between the subject and the rest of the sentence? This word that, right? So this is our relative pronoun. Words such as who, which, that, whom, these behave like relative pronouns when they occur in the middle of a sentence. For example, the man who was here yesterday has left the country. So can you see the subject and the rest of the sentence? What is the joining link? It's who. It somehow behaves like like a conjunction, right? But then again, who, that, this cannot really be considered as a conjunction. So that's the reason they are falling under the category of relative pronouns. And that brings me to the end of today's session. Of course, there's going to be a part two because we haven't really discussed all of them. But I hope you learned something new. And the reason why this class has been conducted is because we have actually seen that even in CLAT papers, even when it uh, comes to OLETs or even when it comes to ALET, grammar plays a crucial role. And you never know when the consortium is going to play with your feelings. So the thing is, what do they generally do? They'll put this one word in the passage and they'll highlight it and then they'll ask you, okay, so what is the part of speech of this particular word? And then you'll feel lost. Okay, and that's the reason why this particular class has been conducted so that you don't feel so lost. You have a decent grasp on your parts of speech because it's something which is really easy, right? When it comes to it, it's like super easy to understand and it's something that we can score good marks on. So you save a lot of time, you are accurate, and that means it's a win-win, right? And that's the reason grammar is important. So thank you so much for attending the session, and I'll be seeing you soon. Bye bye. Have a good day.